everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is MrskayMbobvu, aka the MrskayMbobvu. Welcome to this new week. Happy Monday, and thank you for everybody who's been subscribing, liking, commenting, and being here week in and week out. Guys, as I record this video, today is the 1st of September 2022. Yesterday, God just reminded me that it's been 1 year since I resigned from my job. So I thought I should just do a story time, explain why I resigned, how I planned for it. Maybe it's going to be a series throughout September so that I can just share my story. I know it will help somebody because I believe that God does not give us an opportunity or the strength to speak about our story if it's not for the benefit of others. Okay, so just grab a chair, grab something to drink. I have my coffee. Here, and then I don't want to make this too long, so I think I will do parts. So today I'm gonna share why did I resign from my job in the middle of pandemic and in South Africa. And I know the reason why I'm saying in South Africa because we do know about the unemployment rate and all those things. So I just want to share why did I resign in the middle of an pandemic from my almost 8-year job. So just for you guys to get a background, so I started in 2011. I matriculated in 2010. 2011, I was so excited as a first-year student. I actually wanted to study BCom accounting, but the university that I applied at, they didn't take me for that because my math was just average. I think I got less than 60, but 55, 57 there. So they accepted me in a course that I really didn't want to do. So I was kind of like thinking, what should I do? What should I study? My marks were good. I could do not any degree, but I could do a lot of degrees. So because of late applications and all that, it was already in Jan when they replied. I'm like, you know what, it's fine. So I decided to go to Bloemfontein. I studied at Central University of Technology. Then I was like, anything that is nearest to accounting. At that particular time, it was National Diploma in Internal Auditing, because I went to a technical or a University of Technology. So I started my national diploma, 3 years. I was done, thankful to God. And then after the 3 years, I realized, oh my goodness, I don't really love accounting, or I don't really know what I want to do, because I felt like, no, I'm in the wrong industry. But I was like, you know what, God, give me some job where I will go and work, and then maybe by then I will discover what I want to do before I can do my postgrad. So there was a career fair at school. I think by then I was doing my 3rd year, about to write our December exam, like our last exam. So they came there, the banks came, they explained, they were like, if you want to apply, you can apply. And then I applied to one of the bank that I was using at that particular time. Guys, I am so loyal when it comes to brands. So I didn't apply at any other bank except the bank that I was using at that particular time. I don't want to mention the bank. So I applied, I got an interview. So we were doing something like, it was a student or a graduate program where they take you, they train you for months, and then they place you. So that was good. I was very young and I was excited to go into the working industry, and I was just so excited and thankful to God that I got a job before I could even graduate, because I was still writing my exams. So the following year came, I graduated, I passed, and I had to start with my training and my work. It was good. Got a job. So I matriculated 2010, then I graduated I finished 2013, then graduated 2014 in March, but already I was working. So I started as a normal banker, yeah, I started as a banker, in a branch. It was nice, learning how to speak to customers, learning about customer service, also learning about what a bank can offer, because I didn't know. I remember in one of the interviews, because I think we had two interviews for this graduate program, they did ask me, do you know that a bank sells? I'm like, no, what I know is that I get an account there. So I didn't know a lot of things as much as I studied accounting. And guys, accounting is not banking only. There's finance and there's everything. So banking is broad and accounting is also broad. So there I was, I think I was 21, very excited. I was very happy. And before I got that job, guys, me and my friend Kanye, if you're watching, holla to you. So me and Kanye, who is still my best friend, we met the university, but she is in a different sector, not in accounting. So we used to pray when we were doing our third year, to say, God, please give us a job. I specified that, the name. I was very specific. I didn't want any other job except at that company. And then she was specific at a different company where she wanted to go. And by God's grace, God gave me at the company that I wanted. And I remember praying to God. I was saying, God, because I'm still young, I don't really know what I want to do with this qualification that I have. It's very different from work. You're from school to work. So just give me 5 years to figure out everything. And then from there, I will then decide what I really want to do, whether to do my postgrad still in accounting or start a different degree, depending if do I really love the finance or the banking industry. That was one of my prayers. I was like, God, please. So, okay, I started working and then everything was good. First year, second year, third year, I grew different positions, different branches. I think in my 8 years in that bank, I moved around 8 times in different branches, and I also moved 4 times in different positions. So I learned a lot, I grew, and by the time I left, I was already in a supervisor role. So I just wanted to share that background. So why did I leave? So remember when I prayed, I told God there were 2 things that I was very specific. God, please give me 5 years to learn, and then I will decide if I want to continue, and then see what happens. The second one, which is very, very important, I was like, God, I don't want in my life to ever go to work because I feel like I have to work. I have to go to work. When I feel that my growth, it's not, I'm no longer growing at the rate that I want to grow, and I wake up with, that thing of I don't want to go to work. Immediately thinking about work, I get sick, mentally. So I told God, I'm like, God, I don't want to go to work with that spirit. The Bible says work as if you're working to the Lord. So I want every time when I go to a job, I want to go and work, give my all, give my excellency, and perform. I'm a very high performer. I was a top student when I was in high school. So I love performing. I love giving my all. So those were very specific. So throughout the journey, I was telling God, I'm like, God, I would really love to resign after I've had a baby, because I just felt like staying home for 6 months getting money was very fascinating for me. So I wanted that maternity leave. I know it sounds crazy. The things that we pray, God hears a lot of stories, guys. Yeah. So there I was. I got pregnant, got maternity leave, and then now it was my year 6. All right. For some odd reason, my year 6 was the hardest year. I started feeling like I'm not giving my all. I started feeling like I've grown where I wanted to grow. I started knowing what I want now. I'm like, no, this is not the industry or the department I'm in that bank. It's not where I want to be. And for me to be where I want to be, I need to do my postgrad, because I really need to further my studies, because it does need that particular degree and all that. So I started with my advanced diploma, which is a BTech. So because of work, because of how I was mentally, things were not really working out well for me. I couldn't study. I felt demotivated. I was just all over the place. A lot of things were happening. And I told God, I'm like, God, this is the reason why I really do not want to go to a job where I feel like I'm not giving my all. I'm being unfair to my employer, and I feel like my employer that being unfair on my growth. And I'm also being unfair on somebody who wants to come to this, sit and give their all. So, because I feel that I've outgrown the seat, I've outgrown the position, and in this department, there's no any growth for me anymore. So I started praying, guys. That was 2020. I started praying to God. I'm like, God, please give me the strength to leave and help me to prepare to leave. And then 2020, I worked, it was fine. 2021, when I was doing my yearly goals, in Jan, God was like, write your resignation letter. You are going to resign in September. I was like, God, of all the years, you decide for me to resign in the middle of a pandemic. You know what's going on in South Africa. You know what's going on. What if I don't get a job? I've never been out of a job in my life. Would I be able? God was like, do you trust me? I'm like, God, I trust you. And I knew it was time, just that the fear of holding on, of my comfort zone and everything, because I knew that it was time to let go of the job or of that position, and I needed some time to study and just to regroup, and I just needed the gap year to think straight, get every habit out, the negativity out, because I was now negative at work. I was just negative with anything that has to do with any type of job. That's where I was. My mental health was, yo guys, I nearly fell into depression. I hated everything. I was no longer smiling. I was no longer talking nicely. Guys, I was just all over the place with every negative energy that you can think of. So to God, I was like, God, I just want to rest. Give me a year. Let me finish my studies. Also help me to regain my mental health. Also to prepare for the next level where I'm going at. Because I know that I still want to work for the next 10 or 15 years, though I don't want to retire when I'm 65, but I do want to work. I feel like I still need to work a 9 to 5 before I can fully retire. Before I'm thinking of retiring at 40 or 50 at 9 to 5, but I'm still gonna work. There's a lot of things that God is still gonna give me for me to still get an income from, even if it's not 9 to 5. So I was like, God, no, I cannot. I was constantly sick. It was flu every time. I got sick with COVID. It was just a lot. And then 2021, God was like, write the resignation letter. I remember typing it out, dating it the 1st of September, because I was supposed to hand it to my manager on the 1st of September because I had to do a 30 days notice. So I typed that. God was like, now you need to start preparing. I'm like, God, are you for real? So this is really happening? I'm like, yes. So by then, like I told you, I was a supervisor of about 8 consultants. So I was a team leader. So I had a subordinate that we were very close. So I would tell him like, no guys, in September I won't be here. That was my language. Everyone who's close to me at work knew that whenever they were planning things that has to do with October, I always say, guys, I won't be here. I won't be here. I won't be here. So I started planning. So how did I then prepare for my resignation? I started getting off everything that has to do with benefits from my job. So I had to move from my medical aid. And then because my medical aid was more cheaper or more affordable with a lot of benefits, so we were all in my medical aid. So I moved away from my medical aid, and my husband had to get a new medical aid for us so that I can be able to know the exact amount that we need to plan. We didn't want any inconsistency, so we wanted to know the exact amount. So I did that. I moved out of my medical aid. Yes, it was a little bit costly, but I had to see the reality of the money or the expenses that we're gonna have before I leave. So I prepared first financially. Emotionally, I feel like I had already prepared because I knew that my 5-year mark is done, and I've already known that this is not this is not the industry where I want to be. So I just want to change industry, but still come back to the same company. I love my bank. Why am I saying my bank? I love my employers. So I really love to go and get a gap year and then come back in a different in a different department. So I started with financial. Number two, we left gym because gym was going hand in hand with my medical aid, so it was like we had a subsidy because of the medical aid. We had to leave gym. It was very hard because I was really enjoying and I could see the benefits, but I had to make sacrifices. So we left gym. I had to, by then we had bought our apartment, the one that we're staying in. And before we even bought, me and my husband, we spoke about, I'm like, you know what, that either this year, next year, or in the next 2 years, I'm planning to resign. So you need to get an apartment or a property that you'll be able to pay even if you are alone. So we got this apartment knowing that in the next 2 years I will definitely resign, and we don't want not to be able to afford to pay our bond because we went for a very expensive house, or a house that we could afford only if we were having combined income. So with the benefits, because I'm working in a financial industry, we do get interest interest benefits. So I had to leave that as well. I had to cancel my interest as a staff. So I had to know exactly how much will the bond be if I'm no longer working in the financial industry. So we had to leave that. That was happening around Feb, March, April. I think the last plan was in April. So we left that. We had to fix our interest rate, which now I'm very thankful, because by the time we were fixing the interest, the repo rate was lower. So God make miracles. So we had to fix our bond because I was planning in over 2 years. So we fixed our bond. So now I was out of any benefit from my work, from the medical aid, from the interest, from anything. So now I had a clear picture of how our expenses are going to be, because everything was now fixed. The car was fixed, everything was fixed. Now financially, I'm okay. We started planning. Are we going to be able to afford this? Are the expenses within our income? And are we also going to be able to save? What's going to happen? So that was the reason why I had to plan financially. So by April, I knew that if I resign, everything is going to be good. I didn't plan any increases because, annually people do get increases, but I was planning on what we currently have now. So financially, tick the box. I planned almost a year earlier before I resigned. The second thing, it was spiritually. I was like, God, I know deep down spiritually this is what I'm supposed to be doing, and mentally I need to rest. But let's be honest, I've never been out of a job. What am I going to do? What if I feel useless? I started praying to God. God, help me, that I should not feel useless. I should not feel like I'm not adding value, because that's a story for another day when I do another series, because that's one thing that I also realized after I've resigned, that I had put so much value in my job. So we'll get into that when I do another episode. So I planned, I prayed, I did everything. We spoke about it with my husband a lot. I'm like, are you really sure? I knew I was sure, but the fear of the unknown was now starting to come in. And remember, last year, it was my year of saying yes to everything that I fear. And I know that resigning was one of the things that I feared. So yes, so that's how I planned for everything. Guys, and one thing that I want to say is that even as much as I prayed, fear tried to creep in. Because the reality is that we can see our unemployment rate. The reality is that we're in a pandemic and people are losing jobs. Yet I want to resign from a job. So that those things were there. And I was like, God, I know where you're taking me. Okay, I might not know where you're taking me, but I know that wherever you're taking me, you are going to provide for me. And the next level you're taking me into, you are definitely going to equip me and help me. And guys, now it's a year later. And to be honest, yesterday I was crying, thanking God, to say, God, thank you. Thank you for giving me the strength, for giving me the braveness, for giving me the boldness to leave. Because the other thing is that I didn't even tell people. Other people, I told them last week that, guys, Minapela, I have been unemployed. or I resigned, and it's been a year now, because God specifically told me to say, this is your journey. You don't have to go and tell people, because people are going to project their journeys, their fears, their plans into your journey, and then you will end up not doing it. So I only told my husband, and one friend, Una, if you're watching this, thank you so much. You really helped me. God was specific to say I must speak to you, and you understood the journey. You supported me, and thank you for that, best friend. So, guys, when you have friends, you know which friend to talk to. So God led me to that friend. So and I also told, I just told like 5 people, I even my siblings only found out. I only told them when I was left with like a month to resign. That's when I told them. So because of all the reasons. So I didn't tell a lot of people. So I went through this journey with God, with God and my husband, but it was mostly with God, because there were things that I couldn't tell my husband, but I could tell God about them. My fears, the way I felt, I couldn't be way too open with my husband, because he was one of the people that struggled with unemployment for the longest time before he got his dream job. So it was very hard for me to communicate everything to him, because I know how he feels about unemployment. He has been through it a lot of times, and it was not a good. I was there supporting him, mentally and everything, but I knew that even as much as I'm supporting him, I am not feeling what he's feeling. And in my life, I've never been unemployed. So we were in different, state mentally, because even today he helps everybody who's unemployed, because he knows the pain, and I don't know it as much as he does. So it's very difficult for us to communicate when it comes to unemployment. So I had to talk to God a lot of times, and also ask God how do I approach this with my husband, because I know how he feels about this thing. Though he was supportive to say that I can leave my job as long as we have planned financially and everything. So a year later, do I regret? No, I don't regret. A year later, I don't regret. Actually, I'm so thankful for this year. A lot of things happened. A lot of mental growth happened. Spiritual growth happened. Guys, I am the person that I am today because of that decision that I took last year in August. And it's part of my journey. This is my journey, guys. I'm not saying people should go and resign. Talk to God, find out. But remember, with my journey, I prayed for it almost 8 years ago. So our journeys are different, and I'm very sorry if there's somebody watching this and is currently you're going through unemployment, and I do pray that you do get a job. But I'm not saying unemployment is not a real thing, or it's not something we should take serious, but I'm just sharing my story. So sorry for anyone who might take this in a sensitive way, to say you resigning while I'm looking for a job, and somebody will think I'm not appreciating and all that. This is not how I wanted the video to sound, but this is my journey. And one thing that I've learned this year, it's never be afraid to speak about my journey. It's my story, and I'm owning it, and I want to share, because there might be somebody else who's going through the same road that I went through. So yeah, this is a year later, guys. I'm happy that I took the decision, and I will definitely do the updates on what's happening. Yes, because I have been going through interviews and jobs coming, so God is really, really faithful. And one thing that you should take out of this, whatever that you want to do, if you definitely know that God wants you to do it, God will provide for you, because God knows I don't like being broke. God knows that I don't like stressing about bills. Those are the things I told God. I'm like, God, I don't want to stress about bills. I love to live comfortably. I don't want to lack. I don't want to stress when my child has to do something and then now I cannot afford. So if you're taking me through this journey, please make sure that you do provide for me, because I am not going to go through a season of lack. That I'm not about that life. And I told God, I was honest with God, and God blew my mind. God, I don't remember sleeping without knowing when I'm going to be paying bills, sleeping without knowing if I'll be able to buy even just a juice. So I'm very grateful for that provision from God. And I trusted Him, because I know He can supply more than what I can ask for. And a year later, I am very grateful to God for giving me the strength, for giving me, the brave, the boldness for taking this journey. Anyone who's going through this journey where you don't even know what to do, or you know that God told you to do something that it's unfamiliar, I hope this video is going to let you give you the strength, for you to do it, whatever, and sometimes, just like Elizabeth and Mary, they didn't have to go around telling each other what God is doing in their life. Their destinies spoke to each other. Their gifts that they were carrying spoke to each other. So there are certain times in your life where you don't have to go around telling everybody anything. When God tells you that this is isolation time, this is the time that you have to just trust me. If you're looking for validation from other people, then you're not going to get it. This is the time that you have to fully surrender everything to me. And for me, preparing for my resignation, resigning, and a year later, having to own up on that journey and trusting the only person that is working through this journey with me, which is God. It was not as easy because I'm a recovering people pleaser. So I wanted people to understand. I wanted people to know. I wanted people to validate me. But God was like to me, you don't need anybody's validation. And I've learned in the past year that really I don't need anybody's validation. God's yes is the only thing that I need to live my life. So this is just part of the summary of why I resigned. It was because of growth. I wanted growth. It was because I knew that it was time for me to go to a different industry, and I've gained all the experience that I wanted in that industry. And again, it was time for me to rest. I never rested from varsity to working, and I never rested. So I wanted to take a gap year just to refresh my mind. I'm gonna explain in other videos, I even went for career coaching. I went to see a therapist. I just wanted to regroup myself, to prepare myself for the next level of the next industry where God is taking me into, and just to know that it's fine to rest. And that's when I also realized that, guys, sometimes we think being busy, it means to be productive, and we're always busy with everything, because every time when we want to rest, we feel useless. Guys, I used to sleep the whole day. I will just sleep because I was so burnt out from my job, especially during the pandemic, because we didn't rest. We were part of the people that were essential workers, so we worked throughout the whole pandemic. So I was burnt out, but I needed the rest, and I'm thankful that God gave me the opportunity and the strength and the provision for me to be able to rest, and take this gap year. So look out for the next episode. I'll be doing maybe a 4 or 5 parts depending on how I see the story going, so that I can just share my experience, share the things that I've learned, because I learned a lot of things. So my next video is going to be about the things that I've learned in my gap year, and the things that I had to detach from, the things that I didn't even know about myself. So thank you everybody for tuning in today, and I just hope that whatever journey you are in, trust God. Trust God. That is the only thing I'm going to leave you with. Trust God. God does not take us through journeys that is not going to provide for us. Stop listening to people that were not told by God. Pray to God to say, God, which person should I speak to? Because God will take you to the person that knows that He also has deposited something for you in them. So, guys, have a lovely day and trust in God. He will blow your mind. Bye.